Hi, everybody, and welcome into another Solid Orange Conversation brought to us by our good friends at Prisma Health and all the great health professionals that are out there. Don Munson and baseball coach Monte Lee along with you all, and glad to have you with us. And Monte, first and foremost, good to see you. I know that we would rather be playing baseball at this point in the season. It's been a little different for all of us, but I take it that everybody is doing well in your household.
Yeah, everybody's doing fine. Just like everybody, just trying to adjust to online school, communication through a lot of Zoom calls, trying to put together at-home workouts and making sure guys are being accountable for their tutoring and their online coursework, and really just honestly is just trying to control what we can control, just do the very best we can here at home, and obviously trying to stay safe as well, trying to stay away from large groups of people, and just trying to be as productive as we can at home.
Well, when the season did come to an end for you all, it actually ended in pretty dramatic fashion. Another 1-1 win for your ball club in extra innings. So let's go back and just talk about the last game. Then I want to talk about obviously a little bit of the season as a whole, but just the way at least that you ended the season certainly was on a high note.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was an 11-inning game, a 3-2 walk-off win against Winthrop. And it was kind of the story of our season up to that point. We were 14-3, and we had played 6 one-run games and had won every one of them. So it was a team that defined itself on toughness, that defined itself on competitive spirit and fight and grit. Wasn't always pretty. We finally felt like we had a pitching staff that we had recruited for. It had taken us a while to get those guys. Guys like Weatherly and Strider were in our first recruiting class, and those guys now were upperclassmen, and Davis Sharp and Keyshawn Askew and Carson Spires and Nick Clayton and Jeffrey Gilbert. And we felt like we finally had a true number one starter. I think that's something that we had been missing in the past, was that true Friday night guy that could absolutely not only match up with other Friday night starters, but was better than some Friday night starters, could dominate on a game one on a Friday night, and felt like our bullpen was just outstanding. And defensively, we were playing solid baseball, and our offense was developing. We knew that with losing guys like Logan Davidson and Grayson Bird and Kyle Wilkie and some of those guys from the year before, that it was going to take us some time. We needed to be patient offensively, and you could see that we were starting to turn that corner offensively, swung the bats well there at the end of the Boston College series, swung the bat well at the end of the South Carolina series, or 2 out of the 3 games really against South Carolina, swung the bat well. And, Tuesday night against Presbyterian, had a nice offensive day. So you could see the offense coming along and getting better, but pitching wise, man, we really had a chance to be special this year, and we hate the fact that it ended, but of the short stint that we had of the season, 17 games, I felt like we had done some really good things. I felt like we won every game that we were supposed to win, and we didn't lose any games where you look back and you say, dang, I wish we'd have been able to do this, or had we done that a little bit differently. Those games that keep you up at night as a coach, we didn't have any of those. The games we lost, we should have lost. And every tight ball game, we found a way to win it. And a lot of those games could have went either way. Instead of being 6-0 in those one-run games, heck, if we'd have been 4-2 in those one-run games, we would have been, you could say as a coach, we've done some nice things, but we were 6-0. So just says a lot about the team this year. Talking to our coaches, we had our Zoom coaching staff meeting this morning. I think we all kind of felt the same way, that this was probably the most rewarding group that we've had here so far, just because they and I don't know if overachieve is the right word, but man, did we really compete and play hard and just find ways to grind out wins.
One of the things that you and I talked about a week before the season started, so this has been early February, and you were talking to me about the pitching staff, and I threw at you the question, hey, do you think this can be a staff that in essence can kind of make it 6-inning games, that if you can because of the starting pitching, you can get to those last 3 innings and make it like 6-inning games. It wasn't always necessarily like that, but a lot of times, Monty, in 17 games, it was exactly like that.
Well, I think, Don, and you and I speak before every game and talk about the team, and I just had this sense that we were going to be a team that could win the low-scoring game, and that's something that we had been missing in years past where, if our offense wasn't clicking, if we weren't scoring 6 or 7 runs, we were essentially about a 500 team. If you look at our numbers over 4 years, when we score 6 runs or more, we won a bunch of games, and our goal has always been to get to 7. That's kind of our standard on offense. When we score 7 runs, we won like 90% of the time. But when we didn't score 6 runs or more, we were just above 500. So we felt like, you know what, we've got to be able to put together a roster, a pitching staff, and an offense that can win the 4-2 game, that can win the 2-0 game. And I think early on, those first 10 games where we weren't scoring runs, we were still winning. And, the sentiment kind of, a lot of the outside talk, especially with the media, would ask me, and deservedly so, are you concerned about the offense? Are you worried about the offense? And, my answer was always, look, I'd love to be scoring more runs, but we're winning these games. We're finally at that point where we're winning the 2-1, the 1-0, the 3-2, the 4-2 games, and our guys are confident that because of our pitching staff and our ability to get to your point, our ability to shorten the game, if we have a lead or it's even close going into the 6th inning, we feel like we're going to win this game because our bullpen is impressive. So I felt really good about it. I felt good about the fact that, our offense isn't doing a whole lot right now, but boy, all we got to do is score a run or 2 more in a game. And with a 2-run lead with 6 to 9 outs to go, I mean, we're going to win this game. So I was very pleased with where we were. Even when we were not scoring runs, we were winning games. And that's been our goal for this first 5 years in. We have to be able to put a team on the field that can win in a low-scoring game because, as you know, Don, when you get into the postseason, you're facing dominant pitching. Your runs are at a premium. You got to be able to move runners, get runners in. You got to be able to pitch and play defense. You're not going to just, outmash people in the postseason. And we felt like we finally had a chance at least. And again, it was a short sample size, but we felt like we had a chance to do that because we could shorten the game with a strong starting pitching staff and a strong bullpen.
Offensively, certainly we got to see what a healthy Kier Meredith could mean for your ball club. Let's start right there with what he was giving your club. He was the only guy this year that had 4 hits in a game in one single contest, and that ironically came in a losing effort. But he was able to do that. But Kier was finally healthy, and he was obviously a big catalyst for what you were doing offensively.
He absolutely was. And again, when we recruited Kier Meredith, we could see this player. We could envision this guy. And I've said this before, when we saw him play, we all said to ourselves, this is something that we don't have in the program. We don't have this guy who can bunt for hits, who can push and drag and steal bases and just create chaos. Even when he's not hitting the baseball, he can create chaos. And, oh, by the way, he can hit a little bit too. And he's got a little bit of pop in the bat too. He showed that against South Carolina on that Friday night, ran a ball out of the yard. So, he's just a guy. He's a very dynamic player. And unfortunately for our team over the last couple of years, we just haven't been able to, keep him healthy. And that's nobody's fault. It's just unfortunate. But we were finally being able to see the true Kier Meredith. And we don't know what's going to happen with the draft. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that still have to be made. But we do think there's a strong chance that we could get Kier back. So, again, just with the draft being 5 rounds, it could be a little bit more, and we'll know that in the future. But we do think we feel fairly confident that we've got a chance to get Kier back for one more year.
Well, and I guess that's the other thing that we need to talk about is a little bit about what roster management is going to be like for you, because like we said, the draft's been cut down to five rounds, all right? So that gives the ability for some kids to come back if they want to do that. We've also seen where Major League and minor league baseball are decreasing the number of teams that are going to be out there. That's going to allow, obviously, for the possibility of some kids that maybe if they were juniors or if they were those sophomores that were 3 years removed from their high school graduating class, they can move along. I mean, all of a sudden now roster management for you is a little bit different. And I'm going to guess it's something that you all as a staff are talking about constantly.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's a topic of conversation, not only with our staff, but it's a topic of conversation that I've had with a bunch of coaching staffs. Just talking to folks over in the SEC, talking to our coach. We've actually had quite a few Zoom conference calls as a league. The coaches have, along with communication with Craig Kylitz, who is the president of the ABCA, which is the American Baseball Coaches Association. There's been a lot of conversations about how are we going to manage the rosters and the 11.7, 27 on scholarship, those types of measures and, those types of things that we have to stress about every year. But this year it's even more so because everybody's granted eligibility along with, and that's not really the biggest issue, but the draft being dropped to 5 rounds and the idea that we may not have a minor league season. We don't know that yet, but if we don't have minor league baseball, will they leave it at 5 rounds? If we don't have a major league season outside of maybe playing in spring training complexes and I've heard a couple different things there. And again, don't know the validity of them, but if there's a short major league season or a delayed major league season or, and it's already delayed, but if it gets into July and we're not playing Major League Baseball, it does kind of feed into the commissioner's hands a little bit. If you read some of his philosophy moving forward, he doesn't want as many minor league affiliates. He wants to eliminate a lot of minor league affiliates and reduce the amount of professional baseball players total. So it sort of feeds right into his hands a little bit as far as kind of what he wants to do anyway. But that being said, there's going to be an absurd amount of juniors who would have been drafted and would be big league talented caliber players that are going to be coming back to school next year simply because teams are going to have to prioritize. If they've only got 5 rounds or even 10 rounds, teams are going to really have to prioritize what they're going to draft, who they're going to draft, those kind of things. And another thing too is just the high school kids. I got to think that this is going to be a very college heavy draft simply because minor league or professional scouts didn't really get a chance to see a lot of high school baseball this year because their seasons were cut short. They probably have a little bit more of a report on our guys than they do off the high school guys. So I would think a lot of high school guys are going to show up on campuses now. And so, yeah, it's certainly going to be an influx of players, a lot of headaches, a lot of trying to manage rosters and scholarships and all those things. And not to mention they pushed the draft back on us too. That's another thing is draft's not going to be until at the earliest the middle of July and could be as late as like July 25th. So, again, that doesn't help us either. But everybody's got to deal with it, and there's tough circumstances involved for everybody out there when it comes to COVID-19. Everybody's been affected in some way. This is just part of what we have to deal with as college baseball coaches. But there's people fighting for their lives out there. There's people losing their jobs out there. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are suffering a lot more than college baseball coaches and college baseball in general right now. So, a lot of this is going to help us all when it comes to perspective and appreciation too.
You talk about all that stuff, and so the impact on the college game, I had to think is is going to be really good, Monty. I just think that all of this, the impact on the college game for what we're going to see now, and not just next year, but for the foreseeable future, I think college baseball really benefits from this.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. And just talking to some coaches across the country, it's really neat to hear everybody's perspective on what does college baseball look like next year and over the next couple of years because of the influx of talent that we're going to see next year in terms of incoming freshmen and juniors that are returning. One of the major concerns I think that we all have too, and this was brought to my attention by another Power Five coach in another conference. He said, yeah, that's all fine and dandy. We've got all these players coming in and we've got all these guys coming back. But if they can't play baseball we missed this spring, they're missing summer baseball. Just imagine from mid-March to what could be potentially mid-September for most of us. Think about the amount of time that we're going to have off. One of my major concerns as a head coach and with our guys is we probably need to start our fall later because I feel like we're going to need more time on the front end just to be able to make sure our guys are in shape and ready to go because they're not having a full spring of baseball, a full spring in the weight room, summer baseball, summer training. Our incoming guys aren't going to be able to have what they typically have in terms of being in the weight room 5 days a week. Right now, we're not quite sure what that looks like, but there's the potential that we may not have summer school as far as the guys being on campus and training in our facilities. So we have to kind of plan for that and just look at it and say, if we have 3 months of guys just being able to work out at home and maybe hit off a tee or play catch in their backyard, we're probably going to need a good 6 weeks, I would think, bare minimum when the school year starts before we can start team practice, maybe even 8 weeks. I just want to make sure our guys are ready to go, before they start to compete for starting positions and roles and opportunities and those types of things. And also, I got to think, too, there's going to be, if you don't plan accordingly, there could be a spike in injuries on the pitching side, too, with so much downtime. We're going to have to make sure that we take our time and get them ready before they start pitching competitively again as well.
I've had several fans that have, when I've been out and about a little bit in the community during this, hey, what do you think such and such? And a lot of the questions be, hey, what do you think Clemson baseball is going to look like in 2021? And I have to be really honest with him, Monty, I don't know. I mean, I just, because of all this, I don't know that any of us, have you allowed yourself to think, and I'm sure you have, of what is next season going to look like for your ball club?
Well, yeah, I think what you do, at least this is the way I'm looking at it, is, okay, we typically are going to lose 1 or 2 guys to the draft that are incoming freshmen. We always have. We usually lose about 2 guys. Probably not going to lose any now. That's a bonus. That's good. As far as our juniors, I would have projected us to lose probably 4 or 5 of them. We may lose 1, maybe 2. So that's a positive. So the one thing that we have to look at too is some of these guys who graduated, does it make sense for them to come back to school and play another year of baseball financially? One of the things that we deal with that other sports don't deal with, because we're an equivalency sport, is our guys are paying a lot of money out of their own pocket to come to Clemson and play baseball. So if we have a young man that has already, just think about it from a family's perspective, if we've already flipped a bill for 4 years and we've gotten some scholarship money, or you were a walk-on, I just don't know if financially we can afford another year. So even though they granted scholarship relief for seniors, and we only had 1 on scholarship. So just think about, okay, am I going to come back for a 5th year academically and I have to pay for the whole thing? Or I'm only getting a 25% scholarship and and my parents have to pay for another year of school, or I can go into, the corporate America and start working. There's a lot of guys that and this is just my opinion, but there's a lot of guys across the country that are probably going to elect to move on if they don't have a pro career ahead of them. A lot of guys are going to have to wait and see too. I mean, just look at our guys. Matt Clark graduated. Carson Spires has graduated. Are they going to get an opportunity to play professional baseball? We don't know. If they don't, then they have to make a decision. Or do I come back to school, or do I just go into the workforce? There's going to be a lot of decisions. A lot of them are going to be case-by-case basis. So I think as far as what we look like, I think a lot of that's going to be dependent upon how the draft affects us, and then also with some of these seniors, which guys decide to come back and which guys decide to move on. And I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we've had those conversations with all of them, but they have to wait too. They have to wait and see what does my professional opportunity look like? Is it going to be there or not? So we feel like we'll know more probably over the next 3 to 4 weeks once we get a little better idea of who we think we could lose and which guys feel like have an understanding of what they can afford in terms of coming back or moving forward.
Yeah. If Matt Clark and Carson Spires want to come back, I want them back.
Yeah, we do too.
I'm just telling you right now, I want them back. Lastly, it was great to see Jack Leggett, your predecessor, being honored by the Clemson Athletic. He'll be going to the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame this coming fall. Nobody deserves this more than Jack Leggett.
Absolutely, and got a chance to call Coach Leggett once I received the information that he had made it to the Clemson Hall of Fame. Gave him a call, and look, it's just an honor to follow in his footsteps, and I said that from day one. He's a Hall of Famer in every way. He was a Hall of Famer on the field with the results over his career. You look at his accomplishments and his accolades on the field. He was a Hall of Fame coach. He's also a Hall of Fame person. When you look at the impact that he made on young men's lives, I know the group that I inherited won an ACC championship in that first year. A lot of that had to do with the fact that they played for a man like Jack Leggett. He did such an outstanding job of developing them as baseball players, but also as people, just high character individuals. So he deserves everything that he gets. Again, just he deserves this honor, and certainly look forward to honoring him once we are able to play baseball again. I look forward to us as the Clemson baseball program. I look forward to us being able to honor Coach Leggett on the field at some point. And once we get back into school, we'll be able to determine what that's going to look like. But I'm sure it's going to be a special weekend for him. But nobody deserves it more than Coach Leggett, and it's great to see him be able to receive this honor.
All right, so what's the one hidden talent that you found that maybe that you didn't even know that you had during all this, as you've been kind of shut up there at home, and what's the one talent that you've expounded upon?
Well, I don't know how much time we have left on this show, but I can at least share with you some of the fun things that I've been doing and some of the dumb things that I've been doing, because I'm willing to try new things since I'm at home and I've got more time on my hands. So we started off when this first thing started doing a lot of home projects like most people, and now those have kind of run out. Actually, here in a little bit, Ben Paulson and myself and Mike Freeman and another one of our friends are going mountain bike riding. We've been mountain bike riding on some trails, so we kind of picked that up. Working out at home, actually making a home gym. That's what I was doing today, and that may be one of the dumber decisions I made because I'm not very good at mixing concrete. So my wife had to come down there and fix the project. She said, "Move out of the way and let me do this because you obviously aren't very good at this," and she's much better at it than I am. But I'm actually trying to make a home gym from Lowe's. So I saw it online. I said, "What the heck?" Just things like that. I mean, we've been eating at home a lot, cooking a lot of meals at home. I'm actually a solid cook. I'm a pretty solid cook. Just those types of things. It has been a good time for the family, just having everybody here at home and the girls, my two daughters that are at Clemson, they come over and eat a good bit and hang out and play games at night. I'm not much of a gamer. A lot of times I'll watch a MLB Classic game while they're playing games at the dinner table. But that part's been pretty fun. But I'm sure my wife's pretty tired of having me at home too. But that's really about it. Just trying to make a home gym, riding a mountain bike, but also getting pretty good at these Zoom calls. I'm not too bad. We've been doing a bunch of them. So yeah, just trying to maximize my time. I'm actually not in the house a whole lot. I try to stay outside as much as I can.
Yeah, you sound like me. Hey, you look good. Great to see you. All the best to you and the family. Appreciate the time that you've been able to spend with us. And as I've been telling everybody, next time I see you, it's going to be much more than a handshake. I'm just telling you, I'm coming after you. So looking forward to seeing you here sometime soon. All right.
I look forward to seeing you too as well, Don. Again, just perspective and appreciation. Those are the two words I keep coming back to. I can't wait to get back on campus and get back in the swing of things and be able to see everybody and be able to get back on the field. It's going to be special once we're able to do that.
All right, there's our Solid Orange conversation with head baseball coach Monte Lee, brought to us by Prisma Health and all the great healthcare professionals that are out there taking care of us at this time. For Coach Lee, I'm Don Munson. Thanks for being with us, and go Tigers.